Republicans have yet again failed to elect a Speaker of the House despite being poised to take control and swear in their new elected members like George Santos, who has not actually been sworn in yet, even though he said he was. We'll get to that later. Despite the endorsement of the failed former President Donald Trump, Kevin McCarthy has lost again and again and yes, again. That makes it 6 total times. And this exposes, number one, the complete inability to actually lead and get things done productively, even in the easiest of circumstances, like we have control, let's pick a speaker. It exposes increasingly the potentially dwindling power and prestige, to the extent that there was ever prestige, of the MAGA portion of the Republican Party. And it also raises real national security questions. When you don't have a speaker, there are national security risks. We will talk about that later as well. Rolling Stone reporting McCarthy loses again despite nod from Trump. The House of Representatives has rejected the California representative for a 4th and probably not final time on Wednesday, subsequently rejecting him a 5th time and then a 6th time, and then the voting set to pick back up again today. I'm sure by the time you listen to today's program, we may know more. There may have been more votes. Now, despite the nod from Trump is very interesting. Today's Thursday. Yesterday was Wednesday. On Tuesday, when the first votes for McCarthy failed, people, NBC News went to Trump and said, "Do you still support McCarthy?" And he didn't respond. Much later on in the day, Trump spoke to people, presumably checked out what Tucker Carlson was saying, Sean Hannity and others. And then he issued on Wednesday morning the following not reluctant, but not exactly the most ringing endorsement of Kevin McCarthy, saying on Truth Social, quote, "Some really good conversations took place last night, and it's now time for all of our great Republican House members to vote for Kevin, close the deal, take the victory, and watch crazy Nancy Pelosi fly back home to a very broken California. The only speaker in U.S. history to have lost the House twice. Republicans do not turn a great triumph into a giant embarrassing defeat. It's time to celebrate. You deserve it. Kevin McCarthy will do a good job, maybe even a great job. Just watch." Not exactly a full-throated endorsement, and it appears not to have quite been enough, not to be quite enough to get Kevin McCarthy over the finish line. Now, I wrongly assumed yesterday that it would become less and less entertaining each time that Kevin McCarthy lost, each time that Kevin McCarthy failed. It has actually become more entertaining each time because he seems increasingly exasperated and desperate. Now, at this point, there are discussions of, should Democrats make a deal with Republicans to vote present rather than to vote for Hakeem Jeffries, who Democrats have been completely united behind? The idea being, or to abstain from voting altogether. And the idea here is Democrats aren't going to vote for a Republican for House Speaker, but would Democrats help lower the threshold from the 218 needed votes lower so that maybe 212 gets Kevin McCarthy the numbers that he needs? I don't believe Democrats should do this. The idea that now it is Democrats who have to come to the rescue of Republicans because somewhere between 10 and 20 magats in the House are holding the speakership hostage, it is not for Democrats to fix that. Now, I recognize there are national security risks to not having a speaker, but that's on Republicans. And I hope that Democrats don't do that. The counterpoint would be, are there 6 Republicans who can be bought and who would vote for Hakeem Jeffries? Now, I don't mean a bribe. I don't mean literally take cash. But what I mean is, are there 6 reasonable Republicans in the House who are willing to come to the table with Democrats and say, listen, you guys have a mess on your hands. It's a bigger mess than, whatever Trump is flushing 10 to 15 times, or whatever analogy you want to use. You guys have a mess on your hands. We are united, and we are ready to govern. And we could have debt ceiling issues that come up. We could have a natural disaster that happens, which we need to respond to. We've not sworn anyone in. We don't have a speaker. This is a problem. Be part of the solution. We will be willing to, bring forward for debate issues of importance to you, whatever, a negotiation like adults. Are there 6 Republicans willing to do that? I think the answer is no, but it's worth exploring that if you are the Democrats before you're going to acquiesce to these absurd demands from people like Matt Gaetz and others. It's completely and totally pathetic. So that's what's going on. 6 losses now for Kevin McCarthy. By the way, the record number of ballots, I believe it's 133. And it was a very long time ago. So we're nowhere close to the record. But certainly for the last 100 years, this is a record. So that's where we are right now. Let's now talk about the explosively growing civil war within the Republican Party and the right wing about what's going on. You might remember that a few years ago, the show got hacked and many thousands of dollars were stolen. We never got it back. It's a terrible feeling. It can happen to anyone. But a couple of years ago, we got Aura, which really gives us significantly more peace of mind. And our sponsor, Aura, is the app that protects you from scammers by alerting you anytime your info like email, passwords, social security number are found in data breaches. Aura also automatically requests removal of your info from search engines, and it can reduce spam calls. Aura alerts you quickly about suspicious credit inquiries, like if someone tries to take a loan out in your name. And Aura's password manager makes it easy to keep your account secure to begin with. Aura also has parental controls for your kids' devices. You can restrict apps or manage screen time, set focus time, make sure they're doing homework instead of binging on YouTube. You can try Aura free for 14 days at aura.com/Pacman. Use the free trial to see if your email, password are already out there. You may be surprised. The link is down below.